India has its share of criminals in politics. In fact, the phenomenon is so rampant that politicians who form the crime and politics nexus actually have a name. They are the Bahubalis or the strongmen, and they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Joining me to discuss why criminals are indispensable in India's politics are Arun Anand, author, and Dr. Sanjay Kumar, and my colleague, of course, Ashok Bagaria, here in the studio with me. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. I want to start by asking you, Ashok, crime and politics, heady cocktail, and we've seen recently with Ansari's death in prison, the heart attack, suspicious circumstances, but the huge turnout of people for his funeral signals there's more to him than just crime. The fact that he had a massive following. How does a criminal like Ansari manage to, get so many people to queue up for his funeral?
Well, there are a couple of things. First, I'll answer your question with respect to criminalization of politics and the inextricable linkage between crime and politics. In fact, this is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on ever since the first elections in this country were held. Criminals form the muscle of the Indian polity. And minus them, it becomes very difficult for a candidate of any political party to win an election. So initially it started with a person being nominated by a political party to contest the elections. That person would take the help of the muscle man to help him win the election. But subsequently over the decades, what happened was that these muscle men decided that why should we be helping somebody else to win elections? And they started pitching themselves for contesting elections. And that is how they made their entry into politics.
That's evolutionary from being the muscle to becoming the politician.
So first they got their foot into the door and then they allowed themselves to be hoisted on the stage and contesting the elections. Now, when you look at these muscle men, they basically start off with a Robin Hood kind of an image, where they are generally seen to be pro-poor, targeting the rich people in the society and dispensing whatever they earn by their misdeeds to the poor. So when we look at these Bahubalis across North India, South India, East India, West India, one thing which is in common is their Robin Hood image. Minus their Robin Hood image, they do not have that appeal, and the fact that they have enjoyed this Robin Hood image is amply seen because, as you rightly pointed out, look at the turnout of the people at Mukhtar Ansari's funeral. It clearly shows that that man, despite being behind bars for 15 years, had a tremendous appeal in his constituency. And that is exactly what is happening in our country today.
Absolutely. Very unfortunate turn of events there. But Dr. Sanjay Kumar, this fact that as Ashok so beautifully explained the transition of, muscle men into politicians themselves. And of course, we've seen Mukhtar Ansari's, the turnout at his funeral. And of course, Ashok, let's not forget the politicians who were hobnobbing with his family, to try and get that vote thing. As Indian politics really become, the last refuge for scoundrels like this, where, they're being wooed and courted by political parties and, politicians alike?
Yes, I agree to it. First of all, the politicians has taken help to criminals. And we may tell it that criminalization of politics. And then they have already formed the party, and then criminals become politicians. So we agree to him how the criminalization of politics started, and the people has given him support. So we may understand it, a time when the muscles man, or just you may tell it Bahubali, they have, most of the politicians taken their help to capture the booths. But gradually, this very type of things has already been stopped, and they have started to earn more and more money by different type of means. And they have started to distribute some amount of the money among the poor peoples of his community. And they have already created the image of Robin Hood.
Right.
And the people of his community started to just search a naikatva in his leader.
Right.
And they have started to give him the acceptance in the society.
Yes.
So, we the people is responsible for it. Most of the people, what I have already heard, they are telling that no. There is no a place of politics for a good man. Okay,
right.
fine.
Right.
If you have already placed the vacancy for that very type of people, certainly they will get the benefit from the politics. They will fight the election.
Right.
They will be the member of the parliament. They will be a member of the assembly. And you may take the record from the parliament.
Yes.
How many criminal cases on this very parliamentarian, which one is representing the parliament?
Yes.
So you may understand that we can't distribute on the basis of geography, north, south, east and west.
Right.
Yes, criminal is criminal.
Absolutely. And my question actually, Dr. Kumar, thanks very much. I'm going to ask Arun Anand this question. You know, this ADR has come out with this, the percentage of MPs with criminal cases pending against them. It was 25% in 2004 and it's now risen to 43% in the outgoing Lok Sabha. I mean, do voters not really care very much about the criminal records of their politicians, who they are voting in?
So I think one is that we have to look at the exactly what kind of criminal cases are there, because a lot of time they're politically motivated also.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter, it's a fact that there is a huge nexus between politicians and criminals.
Right.
And now criminals have started entering politics in a big way. I think the NN Bora committee report had thrown light on it, and it is time, especially in light of what happened in case of Mukhtar Ansari, and that we need to revisit the NN Bora committee report.
Right.
And we also need to see whether the recommendations have been implemented in both in letter and spirit or not.
Right.
Some of the recommendations have been implemented in the sense that now we have amended the law when politicians get convicted, so they cannot contest the election.
Right.
But I think it's much beyond that. Actually, if you go to the bane of this problem, all these things started mostly in 1970s,
right.
especially during the emergency, when Sanjay Gandhi was having his way. And Congress actually basically mainstreamed to a large extent to the criminals into politics. And we saw it is not merely only, the contractors or, the kidnappers or the abductors. It's also about those people like, you see 1984 riots.
Yes.
And people against whom, there were kind of open and shut cases.
Right.
So they were mainstreamed into politics, and they also became the ministers in the subsequent government of the Congress. So I think Congress has to bear this, responsibility when it was at the helm of affairs. So it set up this template. Unfortunately, most of the other parties also tend to be following this template. So I think that's a cause of concern. And as far as, I just want to answer, Ashok, he had rightly pointed out about this Robin Hood image. So I'll tell you that my take on this is that these Bahubalis are very smart. They are not doing it out basically because they have a golden heart. They are doing it because they know they cannot survive against the system without having local support. So they are playing it very smart. It's not that they really have a golden heart and they are really Robin Hood and want to do something for the poor. Had it been so, they wouldn't have been indulging in the criminal activities.
Right.
So that's my take.
Yeah, actually interesting that the Robin Hood image, and in fact, Ashok, I was just looking at the new trend that a whole lot of gangsters' wives are now contesting the elections, and they've been, handed out tickets, and they are actually running the show while these gangsters are within prison. So this is something that you used to see with other political parties. When politicians are in jail, their wives would take over. But are you seeing this as extending now to the Bahubalis as well?
Yes, actually. What I would see this phenomena as just another stage of evolution. So first we had criminalization of politics,
yes, the muscle
then politicization of criminals.
Absolutely.
And now we have the spouses of these Bahubalis who have been debarred from the electoral contest, now jumping in to contest his elections, because at the end of the day, even though the Bahubali has been debarred from
Yes.
electoral politics because of conviction or because of any other reason, because of his death or her
Yes.
death, what is happening is that their relatives, spouses, sons,
Right,
daughters,
right.
they are contesting the election.
Right.
So what these people are trying to do
Yes.
is they are maintaining
Right.
the support base which was built by their fathers,
Yes.
brothers, or husbands, and they try to carry forward the legacy
Right.
of the Bahubali,
Right.
and at the same time also ensure
Yes.
that the personal benefits inure to them, and not just to them, but even the political party
Yes.
which is nominating them. At the end of the day, it's a quid pro quo relationship
Right.
between the individual and the political party. And the political parties also, while selecting candidates,
Yes.
know that if the party ticket is given to
Yes.
the sister, brother or son of a Bahubali,
Yes.
they can ensure a victory on that particular seat.
Absolutely. An interesting point there again, Ashok, the fact that this Bahubali thing has become a Bahubali franchise where you have the families now taking over. Arun, you think this is going to last? And what will be the next stage of evolution? As Ashok just mentioned, you have from the musclemen to the musclemen politicians to finally the franchise. The Bahubali franchise sounds like a Bollywood film. What will be the next stage in the evolution of the Bahubalis after the franchises?
I am an eternal optimistic person. So I think I see a lot of good people entering politics.
Right.
So it's like, it's actually best said in Hindi कि आपको किसी लकीर को छोटा करना है तो उसके
Right.
पैरेलल आपको बड़ी लकीर खींचनी पड़ेगी.
Right.
So
That's
you
right.
have to draw a bigger line. So you have to have more people, a larger number of good people in politics,
Right.
rather than having. See, it's the character of politics. It's not only specific to India. If you see all around the world, right from US to Europe to the criminal gangs, the mafia, they have always played a very significant role.
Yes.
In terms of. But here in India, we tend to kind of glorify also a lot of Bahubalis, and there
Yes.
they remain in the backdrop. So that's the difference. So
Right.
I think there are a lot of good people. I see people like Anna Malai. It's not only about BJP.
Yes.
There are a lot of ex-IPS officers. There are ex-Fauji's
Right.
who are entering. There are ex-IAS officers who are entering, who are contesting, who are winning elections, and who are winning. Some of them are. I can't right now give you the data, but there are people who are winning from those constituencies who earlier used to send Bahubalis to legislative assemblies or parliament. So
Right.
I think I am eternal optimistic. I think this trend is ultimately going to to a large extent fade away. Also, as we get more and more organized,
Yes.
and there is an increase in actually more and more white crime.
Right,
The white collar
right.
crime.
White collar crime, absolutely.
So these are the new Bahubalis actually you are going to see probably.
Right,
Rather
right.
than, so this stereotype is going to be to be changed. And as we have seen in case of this guy called Sukesh.
Yes.
Who
Sukesh
is in the hard
Chandrasekhar.
jail right now.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the new format of the Bahubalis I see emerging. So I think we
right.
need to be wary about them.
Oh, that's you've nailed it, Arun. I think you've just given us another coinage, a white collar Bahubali. Instead of the muscle man, you have the white collar, financial fraudster who take over. But Dr. Sanjay Kumar, you think that the Election Commission actually, while this evolution might continue, that the Bahubalis from strongmen to franchises to finally white collar criminals like it is in the West, while this evolution takes place, do you think the Election Commission needs to be given some kind of powers to ensure that political parties don't give tickets to such candidates? Whether it's to give them the power to deregister political parties, for instance. What's your take on this?
Yes, certainly. Election Commission should give guideline to the parties, political parties. Most of the people, which one is just facing the conviction,
Right.
they would prefer just our wife or our nephew, our son will fight the election or contest the election.
Yes.
Quite natural, because there are no charges on him and they may fight the election. But from the side, they are giving the support. Just I would like to give the example of Bihar. Just a man, which one is in jail, they have already from out of jail, and the RJD party has decided to give the ticket of his wife. in this very time, just he got married and his wife was fighting election. She was fighting election from Munger Lok Sabha election. So must watch the election commission to give that very type of things to the parties. Why you are just selecting that very type of candidate? So it should be given the guideline to the different party. But one thing is important. Okay, fine, white collar man, financial corrupt man or muscles man, which name I may give him, but which one has to give the vote? People. People has to decide whether I will have to cast their vote in this very people or the people which one is just belonging to the academic background. I will have to cast their vote in favor of that. So people is also responsible, and I may in favor of it. The people should be aware. We are telling that our democracy is maturing, but you are just casting the vote. And in the favor of that very type of Baahubali, that very type of people, which one is in financial offenses. And you are not choosing the people which one is coming from the academic background, which has no any type of support. But you are not choosing that very people, so you may expect that. So I agree to you, yes, election commission must give the guideline to the parties. I will screen out. It should maintain transparency, and the people should also aware.
But absolutely, the people should be aware, and they should know if they're voting for a Robin Hood or just a plain hood, as Dr. Sanjay Kumar said. Thank you very much, Dr. Kumar, for joining us this evening, and Arun Anand, for your thoughts on the fact that criminals are here to stay in politics. The stages of evolution we just discussed will continue, but ultimately, as our panelists have told us, it is up to the people to decide whether they choose the Robin Hoods or plain hoods. It's up to the people, and really that is something that we should be looking at very carefully as we go into Lok Sabha 2024. Thank you very much for watching.
Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.